That 224 was like the worst thing. That's why we all kind of voted no in 2018, but then they still pushed it through. I had some drivers who were retiring and they're like, you guys are going to regret that decision for the rest of your life. But we got rid of it. That was a huge win. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, 941, I can hear you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
All right, my name is Corey, and I'm from Local 79. That's out of Tampa, specifically Sarasota County.
Cora?
And I've been working at UPS. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Corey from Tampa. Appreciate your call. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I got to top the first two callers who were awesome. I'm a full-time driver. I've been at UPS for 10 and a half years. And I think one of the most difficult things is that every hub has different managers. Every hub has different weather. Every hubs have different economies. So, everybody's going to have, where their complaints are. As far as pay or harassment or, whatever you value more on the contract. And I won't focus too much on part-time because we've already had two part-time callers coming in. And they've pretty much nailed a lot of the issues. I'll only mention one thing on the part-timers because that was like kind of the whole reason why we were kind of threatening to strike was to stand up for them. Because I had to do 6 years of part-time before they even let me go full-time. And then I had 4-year progression. So I didn't hit top rate until like last year. So it took me 10 years.
Right.
And to say I don't have any type of like, I don't want to like downplay it or anything like a PTSD from preload because it was rough. It is not a fun time. And especially when I got in at $9 an hour, they would start us at 5:20 a.m. Say you got to unload two 51-foot semis by yourself, then do E-regs, and then you're out with maybe like what, $27? And I was like, holy cow! I had to drive 40 minutes to work. That's covering my gas. So the first couple of years, I was like, do I even want to stay here? And, one of the only reasons why I kind of first got hired was my uncle was a driver and always bragged about his paychecks. And I was like, well, I can do, other jobs to see what I'm good at. And then if they eventually let me drive, I can always proceed forward. But what about the people who don't want to drive? You know what I mean? So I think the more full-time positions for warehouse workers is absolutely crucial because, maybe they don't want to work some, crappy second job because you're not getting OT when you're working two jobs either. I was doing 40 hours at Target and 20 hours preload. I'm working 60 hours a week with no OT. So it gets kind of tiring, year after year after year of doing that.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
It gets really tiring. So I understand like full, even when I get back to the building, I'll help unload my truck. If I see, the local sort person kind of, overwhelmed because our building is quite understaffed for local sort. So they're always kind of asking drivers to help out at night. So I was like, I never forget where I come from. So I'll help unload my truck and, do what I can to help. As far as one of my main things that I like about the contract, there's a lot of disappointments as well. I'm pretty neutral as far as voting, is how ragged the 224 drivers have been ran. They work those guys to the bone and they don't have a choice. And so that's why we were saying that 9-5 language and 8-hour requests, that 224 was like the worst thing in history to put, at UPS in general. That's why we all kind of voted no in 2018, but then they still pushed it through because I had some drivers who were retiring and they're like, you guys are going to regret that decision for the rest of your life. But we got rid of it. So I thought that was a huge win because, when you're coming at $20 an hour and they're asking a lot of these old timers like, take Friday off, whatever. We're just going to work this 20-hour, person who makes half and give them all the work. Because the old timers like, yeah, I'll work only a couple days a week. I've already made my money. Right. So I don't like the treatment that they get. And I also want to clarify for them, if you are current 22-4, when you, when you go to your new progression rate, let's say, you're at the 3 years, which was what, 3075? For that final year before you hit top rate, you will get that 275 general wage increase. And it was mainly what Jose stepped on is as the new hires for part-time and new hires for full-time, they do get those lower wages, especially for the 21 to 23. For part-timers, everybody thought maybe the language would have been everybody got bumped up to 21, and then we got the $7.50 on top of that. But no, they're like, oh, we're going to put the general wage increase first and then move people up to the 21 unless the $2.75 pushes you over 21. So I think that was like the main language that was just very kind of irritating, which if that would have switched, I bet you a lot of people, I mean, besides the pension issues.
Right.
But I mean, and I think you guys also brought up, I think Jose already mentioned it, but like the raises that we got in the last contract. So there's like weird scenarios that happen, which is always confusing with pay, is when I started driving was like May 4th of 2018. So that was before that contract went through. So they had that waiting period where we didn't have the contract done for 4 or 5 months. And then I was at $18.75 for the beginning of my progression in 2018. And so when they bumped it to 21, I ended up getting like a $3,500 retro check because they owed me all the money up till 21 starting in August 1st because it took them so long to get the contract done.
Right.
So I got the back pay for that. But then because I was on the previous contract, every August I was also getting their raises. But since my progression was May, I was getting my progression raise, which would go to a set amount, and then I was getting random August raises on top, but they did not stack. So my big thing is whether or not those current 224 drivers that go to RPCDs, whether or not those will work the way it did with me, where they do get the August raises, but they don't stack with the progression. So I do like that they're getting the 275, but I want to know whether or not that stacks so that they can get that full 750. Like if they just started driving now, you know, they'll go from the 23 to 25.75, but I want to know if they're getting the 70, you know, dollar before they hit top rate. Cause that's, you know, that's another 250 right there. So that's like, I kind of just want to stand up for those 224 drivers.
Appreciate it. Corey from Tampa. Thanks for the call.
Yep. Thanks.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.